Hi, I'm Olga Mali and this is Math Talk. Today's topic is logic and truth tables. My guest is Professor John Krejci, who is teaching contemporary mathematics and other courses at Sussex County Community College. John is joining me from Pennsylvania. Hi, John, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be able to join you with this little tutorial on truth tables.
Yeah, I'm glad you agreed to help me today. Uh, so I teach contemporary mathematics and logic section from time to time, and I noticed that some students really struggle with constructing the truth tables. I know you also teach logic, so what do you think is the reason of such struggle?
Well, it's just that it's a little bit of a different topic, and it's not one that students really get exposure to in high school. So for the typical student in contemporary math, this section on logic, and especially the section on truth tables, is brand new. It's not anything that they've really been exposed to ever before.
I see. Okay, so let's just help our students a little bit. We will go over basic rules. So there are just few rules which students should know. One of them is negation. When we have a statement which is A and negation gives us not A. So how would we fill up this table? This is A, this is not A. And what happens with the truth values? If it was true, now it's becoming false. So we just change it to the opposite. This was false, now it's becoming true. Now, another rule of logic is called conjunction rule, which is basically A and B. So we have two statements, A and B. So let's create table A and B. And here is the symbol which we're using. A and
I
B.
might add that one way to remember that the symbol for and is that arrowhead that's pointing up it's actually looks like a capital letter A, but without the crossbar. So if you think of that as a capital letter A without the crossbar, that will help you to remember that that's the symbol for and.
Yes, that's actually true. So the truth table looks like this. So we get true only if two statements are true statements. Now, third rule is disjunction, which is A or B. And I will create a table here, A, and we're using symbol which is like V symbol. And we use the same true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. So with this, we cover all possibilities. And the result will be true, 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 and false. So in this case, the result is false only if both statements are false. And there is another rule which is called conditional, which we read like this: if A, then B. So we have A, B, and this will be notation A, R, B. And what we have? True, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. So again, I'm just writing them in this order to cover all possibilities. And we have here true, false, true, true. Okay, so now we sorted out all the rules, and let's talk about a particular problem. So let's say our problem looks like this. We need to construct a truth table for this expression. negation, P and Q. So now, John, can you help me? What will be the steps? What should we do first? What should we do second? How to create this table?
Okay, so we see here we have parentheses, just like in algebra. And so what we want to do is we want to do what's within these parentheses first, okay?
So
And then
step number one.
Secondly, we're going to want to do this tilde, which is make it the opposite, or the negation. So I would say this first column, we would have P. This next column, we would have Q. And I'm switching to uppercase P and Q, I'm sorry. And then here, let's do, what's the next step? We're going to do what's in parentheses. So that's P and Q, right? And of course, we'll be following this rule. And then at the very end, we're just going to do the negation of E and Q. All right?
Okay, that's great. So this is step number one, and this will be step number two. So we start with the same thing. We write here all options which we have: true, true, false, and false, true, false, true, and false. And now, how do you apply the rules?
Well, okay, so this is P and Q, right? This symbol is the upward facing arrowhead, and it looks like an A without the crossbar. So that means we've got this case, okay? And we want to just look at this column right here. So let me go back to blue. And so if you have true and true, you will have true. If you've got true and false, you will have false. If you have false and true, you again will have false. Finally, false and false is false. When you're doing and, the only way you're going to have a result that's true is if both of the inputs are true. So we can think of these as inputs. They can be A and B, they can be P and Q, they could be W and X, they could be any letter that you want. Okay? So then here for step two, let me switch to this lovely purple. For this, we're just taking the negation. So the important thing is we're going to take this column and we're going to do the negation. So that means we're going to be doing this rule right here, which just means it's the opposite. It's the opposite. So this is true. When we take the opposite of true, we get false. The opposite of false is true. Opposite of false is true. Opposite of false is true. There we go.
Okay, right. So we're done with this table. Basically, we just need to decide which step goes first, which step goes second, and then directly applying rules. Okay.
Right. So you have to look for those. You have to look for those paragraphs or the parentheses, just like in algebra. You always look for the parentheses.
Okay. Yeah, we know PEMDAS, right? That order of operation, parentheses first. Okay, let's try another example. So I already prepared the rules which we might need here, and our problem looks like this. Now it's more complicated. We have so John, what do we need to do first? What do we need to do second?
All right. Let me do this in, I'll do it in sort purple. What I like to do when I organize this is I look at the inputs, right? And so I would say, let's do P, and then let's use Q. And then looking at this, this is different, right? Parentheses are important. So like in algebra, here it's not the case where we have the tilde outside the parentheses. It's actually inside the parentheses. So this AND operation is being done not with P and Q, but with not P and Q. And then notice here we've got the tilde Q, so that's a not Q. So the way I personally would organize it is a little different than perhaps what some other professors would do. But I would say for our next column, let's go ahead and negate those inputs. And so we'll say not P and not Q.
So, John,
So
if I just put a tiny parenthesis here to indicate that this is what we are talking about, right? So this will be step number 1, you are saying. So this is 1.
Yes.
This is step number 2. So then we need to work with parentheses. So this will be step number 3, and what's left, this will be step number 4. Right? Also, I can just write them here. So step number 3 is negated P and Q, and the last one will be everything together. Like this. And we use the same true, true, false, and false, true, false, true, false. Okay, so what do we do next?
All right, let's go ahead and we'll do this column, which is the negation of P. So in this case, in this row, the value of P is true. So not P is not true, which is false. Not true is false. Not false is true. Not false is true. Okay? Then we would do the negation of Q. In this row, Q, it has the value true. So not Q would have the value false. Not Q would have the value not false, which is true. Not Q here, it's true. Not true is false. And here, finally, Q is false, so not Q is going to be true. Okay?
All right, so that was step number 1, step number 2, now step number 3. What do we use? So this is AND, so that means we have to use this table, right?
Exactly. So what I can do is, and I'll switch to this blue. So we're going to use this. So in this case, this is AND. This is AND. You can see it's like that uppercase A, but it doesn't have the crossbar. So that's the symbol for an AND operation. And what we have here is not P and Q. So for this, we want to be looking at this, the not P, and we're going to be doing an AND operation with Q.
So we're working with these 2 columns.
Yeah, so we're focusing in on these 2 columns, the not P and the Q, and we're going to do an AND. So it's going to be false and true, false and true, so that's going to be false.
Doesn't matter, John, just quick question, doesn't matter how you start, false and true or true and false?
No. As a matter of fact, I was doing this column first because it's actually not P and Q, so I figured I'd do the not first. looking at the only way it's going to be true is if both of the inputs are true. So if we take a quick look here, it's only this row, the third row, where both the not P and the Q are true. So that's going to be the only row that's going to give us true. Here we're going to have false and false, false and false is false. Here we're going to have true and false, true and false is false. Okay?
All right, so third step is done, and now the last one.
So now the last one, let's do this lovely orange. So here I'm going to be doing an OR operation. This is an OR. The down arrow, thank you, yes, is an OR. So I'm going to be looking at that. And what am I looking at? Which columns? I'm going to be looking at this, right? This is the results of the expression not P and Q. So that's this left side. And I'm ORing that with not Q. And not Q is here. Okay? So here I've got false or false. All right, well, the interesting thing with the OR function is only one of the inputs needs to be true for the result to be true. If both of the inputs are true, of course the result will be true. The only time the result of an OR operation will be false is if both of the inputs are false. So if we look at this, it's only this first row where both of the inputs to this OR statement, which is this column and this column, here they're both false. So this is the only one that will be false. These others will be true. So for rows 2, 3, and 4, let's just verify that. So this is false or true. False or true is true. True or false. True or false is true. And
again, false or true, so we're
true
getting
again,
this
so that's
true. Okay, so we're done with this table, and this is correct answer. Congratulations. Okay, so I have one more problem which involves conditional. So I already have few tables here to help us. So this is table rule for conditionals, and the problem actually is not complicated. I have negated P, R, negated Q. So if negated P, then negated Q. So what we have P, we have Q, so I'll just put our letters right away, and then we will talk about them. So again, we cover all possibilities. So now, John, what are we going to do with this problem? What do we do first?
Well, the way I like to do this, as I said before, is I see we have a negated P, a not P, and we have a negated Q, a not Q. So I would go ahead. I would do a column which is not P, and I would do a column that's not Q. And all we're doing is we're negating. So P is true, not P will be false. P is true in this row, not P will be false. P is false in this row, so not P will be true. It's just opposite. Here in this row, P is false, so not P will be true. Right?
Okay.
Now let's do our not Q's. In this row, Q is true, so not Q will be false. In this row, Q is false, so not Q would be true. It's just the opposite. Here in this
So we're
row,
just using this table. Whatever was, you just switch to opposite, right?
Yeah. So that's actually, we're just performing this table, the not table or the opposite. So the opposite of true is false. And then here, Q takes on the value false, so not Q would be true. All right. Now we're going to use this table here because this is the table if then, right? And this is the symbol, the arrow pointing A to B, right? So if A, then B. So what's A? Well, A is, if we look at the problem that we're dealing with right now, A is not P, and then B happens to be not Q. So we're going to use this column. This is going to be our if column, and this is going to be our then column. So the first one is if false, then false. So this right here matches up with this here. If false, then false. If false, then false, the answer is true. If false, then false, the answer is true. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we just applying our rules. That's it. It's like everywhere. You have formula, you apply formula. You have a rule, you apply your rule. Okay.
So we can just keep going. So this one, if false, then true, that matches up right here. If false, then true, and that result is true. Here we've got if true, then false. If true, then false, that will give us a false. Finally, we've got if true, then true. So we go up here to this first row. If true, then true, the result will be true.
Okay. Yep. So we got our results: true, true, false, true. Very good. I hope that would help our students. John, thank you so much for your help. Thank you for joining me today, working with me with this topic. That was Math Talk and Olga Mali. Thanks for watching.